There's a moment most men aren't prepared for, when the motivation that carried them just disappears. Not because life got harder, not because they got weaker. It just isn't there anymore. I remember when I was running my home building renovation business. Everything on paper seemed to be working. We had jobs lined up. I had guys working for me. The work itself wasn't the problem. But something started to shift. And the shift, it wasn't all at once. It happened slowly. One of the bigger frustrations I found was that I trained several apprentice carpenters from zero right to licensed carpenter. And once they were licensed, they'd often just leave and go do their own thing. And I treated guys really well. In fact, I would consider myself an extremely good employer and not such a great businessman, because I'd make decisions that would better benefit my people than they would ultimately benefit the business. And it wasn't even their leaving that got to me, because that's just kind of commonplace for the trades. It's kind of a transient type industry. Guys come and go all the time. So it's kind of expected. It comes with the territory. I think it was more everything around it. The conversations, the drama, the constant management of things that honestly shouldn't have been that complicated. Because for me, the work was simple. Just show up, work hard, do the job right, and take pride in your work. But ultimately, I found myself spending more time managing people and managing emotions than I spent actually doing the work that I love so much. And I remember having this thought, why is this so difficult? Why do I feel like I'm swimming against the current, swimming upstream? And it got to me because I remember thinking that a few years earlier, none of that stuff would have bothered me. I would have handled it, moved on, no hesitation. But this time it was different. I was still showing up, still doing the work. But internally something wasn't there. That drive I once had was gone. It was quiet. And things that used to feel so simple were all of a sudden so difficult. And I think that's the part a lot of guys don't talk about. Because it's not failure, it's not collapse. Just the slow realization that something that was so automatic just isn't anymore. We think motivation isn't there anymore because we're tired or because something external changed. But I think a lot of the time it's because something internal has shifted and we just haven't realized what that is yet. And I think everyone's experienced the reality that in life we just go through seasons where things just don't seem clear. Things don't feel certain, or you don't feel as driven. And I think in those seasons, a lot of guys kind of start to question everything. And it's not because they've lost their direction, but because they've never learned to move without that feeling, without that motivation. But motivation, it's not what carries you. Ultimately, I think motivation, all it does is make things feel easier for a while. But the problem is if you rely on that, eventually you're going to hit a stretch where it's gone. And when that happens, a lot of guys, including myself, don't know what to do. And I think we've all heard it said that real discipline isn't what you're doing when you feel motivated and you feel strong. Discipline is doing what you need to do when you don't feel strong, when you don't have any motivation, and when you feel completely unsure. And I think there are moments in life when you don't just feel off, but you realize you're not who you thought you were. And that's a different kind of problem. Motivation isn't the problem. And losing it, that's not a failure. It's just the moment you find out what your discipline was actually built on.